Mrs. Smith?
Hey, friends, welcome back to another interesting recap. Is about an old widow who developed a dangerous obsession with her tenant due to her loneliness just after she had just lost her husband she didn't love at all. This is from a 2019 mystery crime horror called Room for Rent, directed by Tommy Stahl. Joyce's husband, Fred, fell from the house rooftop as he was doing some repairs and died on the spot, mainly due to old age. Even though this should be bad news, especially to a wife, it was the opposite to Joyce because instead, she was glad that he was out of. To her disappointment, she thought he had left money in the bank, but when she got there, she only found out that he had instead left a loan, which she was supposed to clear, which left her stranded until when she got an idea from a magazine that she could rent some rooms in her house. She got her first client, Sarah, and her boyfriend Edward, but the problem she had was that she didn't have boundaries. With this attitude of, "This is my house," forgetting that the clients needed their privacy, somehow she and Sarah managed to get along the following day, telling each other about themselves. Sarah told her how she wanted to write a book, how she was looking for inspiration, how she lost her mother just after her father died, how things were different from then, and how sometimes Edward would be hard on her. For Joyce, besides how her husband died, the other thing she told her was that she had no children. Just when they were getting to know each other more with Joyce, telling her how she would have done anything for a baby, Edward got back telling Sarah that he had got a nice place, so they immediately left even though she liked it with Joyce, besides being too lonely and out of money. The other problem she had was a gang of youngsters with their leader, Wayne, who would bully her. But all this changed when she got a new guest called Bob who put them in their place, and they never bullied her. When this happened, she started seeing Bob as her protector, as her companion, and she would do all that she could to get his attention, from changing her dress code to taking good care of him at no cost. She even installed a satellite TV after she learned that he loved football as a way to get close to him. She would write to Sarah about him, even though she would exaggerate some things because she wanted to make it look like she had got someone at last in the eyes of Sarah. She would try to lure him, but the truth is the guy had no romantic interest in her, though he was good. This all changed when Sarah decided to pay a visit to Joyce for some days in the house, because it then got difficult for her to prove to Sarah what she always wrote in the letter. And the other thing, Bob and Sarah started crushing on each other until they at one point had an affair, and Joyce heard them. She got so jealous and she started becoming bitter and violent towards Sarah, just like that she told Sarah. She didn't know what it meant to be old and lonely just because she was a pretty young lady, and to make matters worse, she saw her talk to her neighbor. She hated so much because at one point in time, she tried to snatch her late husband since she was the prettier one. This old neighbor told Sarah about how Joyce wanted to have a baby, but her husband couldn't let her because he didn't want. And because of this, she was forced to terminate the baby she was expecting. No wonder she hated her late husband. She started getting too rude, and this forced Sarah to immediately leave, which she wanted because she had started getting insecure since Bob was attracted to her, because she left without saying a word to Bob, and yet they had started something. When he asked Joyce about it, she was like, Sarah had gone back to her husband, which sort of broke him a little. Joyce's obsession with Bob went too far, especially since he didn't want anything romantic to do with her, as I told, so she put sleeping pills in his beer just to fake a moment with him, and when he woke up the following day, he could not remember. When he got a letter from Sarah telling him why she left and that she was expecting his baby, the mistake he did was to tell Joyce that he was going to get his things to leave, because she then hit a flying pan on his head out of hunger until she claimed his life, like as if killing her neighbor was not enough. When she told Sarah about her past, to cut the whole story short, after she buried Bob in her backyard and planted an apple tree on him and sold off his bike, she wrote to Sarah apologizing for her recent behavior before she left, and that she wanted her to take care of her, since she was going to visit a relative out of the country for some months, which would give her the privacy she needed to write her book. This was all after Joyce found out from the letter Sarah sent to Bob that she was expecting his child, and the film ended as Joyce left Sarah in the house, but there was a secret locked baby's room, and whatever Joyce's plan was, God knows. Thanks for watching, kindly subscribe.